This video is made possible by our loyal Patreon supporters. Visit patreon.com. Breakfast. It's one of the most hotly debated meals of the day. We hear that it's the most important meal, while other people would have you fast until the mid-afternoon. So I would love to know where you fall in this debate. Do you love eating breakfast? Do you always skip breakfast? And if this is a topic that you would like me to address in a future video, whether or not we should even eat breakfast in the first place, I would love for you to let me know that as well. I have a two-part video for you. In this first video, I'm going to talk about the 5 worst things that people often eat for breakfast and offer some healthy alternatives. And then in part 2, I'm going to continue with those healthy alternatives, giving you 5 things that you should add to your breakfast. So thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss any of my videos. And if you haven't already, follow us on social media for tips, tutorials, giveaways, and daily inspiration. So, breakfast. This is where we break our fast. And if we think about breaking our fast with a food that's going to give us energy and help to revive us after a night of sleep, one of the main things that we want to avoid is empty carbohydrates. So we're gonna see this a couple times on this list. The first worst food I wanna talk about is pancakes. And I love pancakes just as much as the next person. But our typical pancakes are going to be, number 1, those empty carbohydrates of white flour. Then on top of the pancakes, we douse a whole bunch of syrup. And most of the syrup that's out there is actually high fructose corn syrup with a little bit of caramel color and maybe a little bit of maple flavoring. So whether or not you're eating plain pancakes or if you've also added some chocolate chips or some kind of other fruit, pancakes can tend to be one of the highest carbohydrate and highest sugar contributors to a typical breakfast. So a couple of simple ways to make your pancakes healthier would be to use a whole grain flour. Or I have here this cauliflower-based baking mix. This is a great example of a complete non-flour alternative. But if you're using something like whole grain flour or maybe one of these healthy non-wheat flour alternatives, that's already going to add a lot more nutrient density to your pancakes. And then I also want to let you know that maple syrup is not all bad, but you just want to make sure that you have pure 100% maple syrup. And when you're actually eating the maple syrup in its minimally processed form, it gives you a lot of minerals, it gives you a lot of B vitamins, so it's actually contributing some nutrients as well as some wonderful sweetness. So food number 2 takes a lot of those same properties from the pancakes in number 1, but then adds on the fry-a-later. Okay, so food number 2 is donuts. So now we've taken the empty refined carbohydrates, a huge amount of sugar, and we've added on the deep frying. So now we have all of these really unhealthy fats that are created from deep frying, all of the unhealthy fats that were in that oil that they used to fry the donuts in. Suffice it to say, avoiding donuts is going to be a really good idea. Now, I know that this is not really a healthy alternative for donuts, okay? We could do what we talked about in tip 1, which is using natural sweeteners like maple syrup or honey so that we're getting some nutrients with our sweetness. We could use whole grain flour or one of these non-wheat flour alternatives. And then yet another thing that I like to do in the morning is actually having some carrots. And if you are a warm breakfast person, then you can lightly steam your carrots. And then what I like to do is add some maple syrup, some butter. So I have my pasture-raised whole milk butter here. This is by a local company called Vital Farms, which I super love, and maybe a little bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon is a wonderful, wonderful flavor to add, but it's also great for regulating our blood sugar. So again, when we're talking about breaking our fast in the morning, having some cinnamon on your breakfast is a really good idea. Food number 3 is non-fat yogurt or non-fat milk. I talk a lot about the problems with removing fats from foods that naturally contain fats. In the case of dairy products, it's actually the fat and all of the enzymes that help us to digest the protein in the milk. So when we're eating non-fat milk or non-fat yogurt, not only is it not going to fill us up, because the fats are primarily what satiate us and fill us up from those foods, but you're actually not even going to be able to digest the food as well as if you had just had it with all the fat in there. So full fat dairy products, if you're going to eat dairy products, they're not as processed, and that fat is gonna go a long way to helping you last until lunchtime. And for all of my folks out there who are not eating dairy, and this is becoming increasingly common because people will remove dairy from their diet and notice they have less allergies, they have more clear skin, all of these different things that can happen. So again, the same thing can apply, something with the full fat in it. So what I have here is an almond milk yogurt alternative. So this is a great example because when you're eating something based from almonds, they're also going to provide a huge amount of nutrients, some healthy fats, and some healthy protein. So switching out your non-fat Greek yogurt for a full-fat almond milk yogurt can be a really good choice in the morning. Another thing to remember about store-bought yogurts is that they're typically going to contain a huge amount of sugar. And once again, it's highly processed sugar or maybe even high fructose corn syrup. So you're going to be in a much healthier place if you buy the unsweetened yogurt and then add the sweeteners yourself. So again, maybe it's honey, maybe it's pure maple syrup, maybe you're just adding in fruits to give a delightful flavor, but the amount of hidden sugars in conventional yogurt is probably a topic for its own whole video, but it's definitely something that you need to look out for. Food number 4 is sausage. So I do have some healthier animal product alternatives I want to talk about, but when it comes to sausage, this may be one of the absolute worst. So sausage is the kind of mixed grab bag of all of the animal products or meat products that couldn't be packaged and sold on their own, so they get ground up and put into sausage. These highly processed meat products have been associated with cancer and all types of other nutritional problems. So one of the best things you can do is switch out your highly processed animal products for a more natural animal product. So what I have here is some 100% grass-fed beef. Here is a steak right here. So if you were to eat something that's just 100% meat, it doesn't have any additives, it doesn't have any other stuff or mystery stuff put in it, it's gonna be a much healthier option for you. So what I have here are items from ButcherBox. This is awesome because they actually send you a huge variety of these wonderful high quality animal products straight to your door. So that's simple, right? Makes it a lot easier for those of us who maybe don't have grass-fed beef in our local grocery store. And for all of my vegans and vegetarians out there, I just want to send you a lot of love. I know that working towards plant-based diets would be really, really wonderful for everyone to do. But realistically speaking, I can't assume that everyone's going to go plant-based. So I want to talk about why switching from sausage to a more natural meat is so beneficial. Number 1, less of that processed junk. Number 2, because these animal products are grass-fed, they're going to contain a lot more nutrients. And when we talk about a lot of the environmental problems with meat consumption, it's actually those factory farming practices that are creating a lot of those health and environmental problems. So when you're opting for non-factory farmed meats, things that say pasture raised or grass-fed or organic, you know that it's coming from a farm that's actually valuing the environment and they're creating a healthier product for you and the earth. So food number 5 is breakfast cereal. And here we have some of those offenses from the first 2 foods, which is empty carbohydrates and a lot of added sugar. And then a lot of people are eating their cereal with low-fat or non-fat milk, which is the problem we talked about with food number 3. So there are a lot of cereals out on the market now that will actually say things like whole grains or whole grain oats or whatever. And this is definitely a step in the right direction. However, I would encourage you to still kind of look at that ingredient list if you're reaching for something that looks like a typical cereal. Because a lot of times it'll even say enriched flour, and then it's got a little bit of whole wheat in it somewhere, just so they can put on the label that it has whole grains. But you really want it to either be 100% whole wheat or to maybe even be something that doesn't contain wheat at all. So what I have here is my granola that I like to eat. Granola is at least going to be a step in the right direction because it's minimally processed. Okay, it hasn't been through a big factory machine that flattens it out and turns it into little cereal pieces. And then this particular one also has quinoa, chia seeds, flax seeds, cinnamon, which I talked about earlier, and organic whole oats. So switching out granola to replace your cereal is a really good idea. Or if you're looking for more healthy breakfast ideas, join me in part 2 of this video where I will show you how some of the rest of these items can get added to your breakfast.
Introducing Yoga Plus, offering a free series every month with over 300 different videos. Take control of your health. Work out anytime, anywhere. Yoga Plus. Download now for free.